partner. And starting out a little background on me, I'm a business teacher at high school. I teach about 365 students in our high school. I teach a variety of different classes, from accounting to business law to business essentials to entrepreneurship. When it comes to data that we collect, we have a number of different data, obviously daily assignments, tests, and then as a non-core teacher, using state assessments and seeing how they relate directly to the courses that I'm teaching. Primarily, I use mathematics results, and you see how my students are testing in those different areas, and then figure out ways to incorporate and improve those abilities and skills here in my classroom. So when it comes to continuous improvement, then I think there needs to be some sort of plan that we can evaluate our data on a yearly basis, and we can look and we can see how students are progressing, and then identify gaps that are being created currently. So again, the whole focus of using data should be improving students' experiences, opportunities, and improving the effectiveness of our instruction. And I think it's really important that we use the data that we have available to us to do such. So right now, Mark, would you like to ask me clarifying questions?
Yeah, can you go through your how your admin supports you with data and in your classroom?
Ask me clarifying questions. Okay. So you have some earlier today, when we tried this first time, Mark asked what a kind of clarifying or what sort of admin help do I receive. And again, we talk about we have walkthroughs every 3 years. I have a formal evaluation. I just recently had my full formal evaluation where the administrator comes in the classroom for 2 different subjects of 20 minutes of time, and then prepares the evaluation on my performance, areas that I was satisfactory and need to improve. Also, through this process with this class for the last 8 weeks, some little insights on how we apply it over the any other questions you might have, Mark? Other questions you might have, Mark?
How do you collaborate with teachers in? I mean, I'm your vet. Say your voice is going in and out, so I was just trying to clarify. But you already talked about it earlier. How many principals do you have in your building, and do they all come in, go in and out, and do you have any instructional coaches that offer any extra support? And I know before you were talking about someone in your district who the past 8 weeks you've really been able to, the curriculum person, you're able to really bounce a lot of ideas off of and go through it with them.
Yeah, our curriculum director has been really helpful. Looking at some of the assignments we've done in the class correlated directly to what they do on a daily basis, looking at assessment data from all different levels, the elementary level, providing kind of some feedback on all the different assessments given from kindergarten and kindergarten readiness all the way up to high school ACT scores, pre-ACT, and that data has been really eye-opening. And especially some of the assignments we've done dealing with spreadsheets and using formulas and organizing that data in manageable chunks, really is applied to directly what I'm hearing from the our curriculum director at the district level.
What type of are you guys? Are you guys a Google school? Or are you guys what kind of data entry do you guys use for your school?
Yeah, we use Google, and we are in our fourth year of one-to-one at the high school level. All students have Chromebooks, and I think it's really made my job as a teacher easier, as far as being able to get feedback back to students. I know initially that was something I really struggled with, was how to give students meaningful feedback on assignments and tests, but I've figured out a couple cheats and things and Google's been really responsive and has also made some things easier for teachers. I've really enjoyed that, and helped kind of close some of the gaps in my classroom.
I think that's all the questions I have.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, I kind of killed it a while ago on my Loom, so it looks like my Loom loaded.
And so I'm teaching at Junction City Middle School. We have anywhere from 950 to I think we topped out at 990 earlier in the year. We have 3 assistant principals, 1 admin head principal. They've all been in and out this year. This is my first year teaching at this middle school. I've taught at the high school before and the elementary schools. I taught PE at those schools. Where our, as far as the way we look at data at our school is, every month we have a data meeting, which our principal will go over various types of data. As far as mostly, it seems like they're focusing on the discipline aspect of the data. Sometimes they will briefly hit on the math scores in the LA. This is the time of the year where they seem to be hitting on that the most, going into state testing. And it just kind of seems we don't really have a really good set parameter for collecting data and actually in a timely manner. In my class, I'm kind of basically on my own as far as being the only elective teacher in there teaching this careers course that I'm teaching. And we're just sitting at a meeting just last month where I had 3 principals were leading the session, and we were going over our standards-based grading that we're going to be having for next year. And they said, you need to set up all your parameters for that. And I was in the room with other teachers as well, and they said, I want you guys to group up your subject category. And they said, well, Mark, I guess you're on your own since you're the only person teaching this subject. So for a while, I was just sitting there by myself trying to figure out exactly what I was going to be doing as far as getting our priority goals set up. And it's kind of frustrating. It's very frustrating from time to time. I'm trying to look at data as far as kids, as far as when they're going through their test quizzes and projects, and when they're seeing how they are being graded on 80% of their grade, and I have to be able to track to see how well they're doing in their class and how they're going to be going on through all their other classes, and just trying to track all the kids' grades. Is we don't really have we're not a Google school, let's put it that way. Our school district is anti-Google. They go for too many security issues as far as leaking students' data and everything. I guess I did a lot of research into that, and I guess all the security things have been fixed. We are an Office 365 school, where with a lot of our students, we are using Schoology, and we assign all the things through assignments through Schoology. I'm using a lot of my all of my assignments are done online, trying to assign homework to these kids, trying to take home paper copies. It just does not work. And I can actually see with the kids on their screen as they're typing. I could be editing on their screen. I could be giving them comments. So I will know if they're doing a project, what they're actually typing in. It's a live situation. And we actually just got Go Guardian about a month ago, which It did not take very long for the students to figure out how to get around GoGuardian and be able to disable it. We can lock their screens. We can kind of keep them off of what they need to keep off of, but it only took students just about a week to be able to figure out some of the loopholes to get in and out of it. It's not the end all be all that a lot of people are thinking it was going to be. As far as us meeting, we meet twice a week for team meetings, and a lot of those are just going through IEPs and 504 plans and behavior data. And the other one time a week we meet is our content meeting, and that's just me sitting there with the person who teaches French and Spanish, and we're basically sitting in a big room by ourselves with the 3 instructional coaches, and we're all doing our individual things. And if we ever have a question, we go ahead and ask the question, and they can answer it to the best of their ability. So, any questions?
Yeah. When earlier we talked about, you mentioned, at Junction City, the high turnover of student population. How does that affect the ability to look at data and assessments from year to year? Does it make kind of looking at long-term data kind of useless with that big of a rollover of student population?
Well, what I've seen over my years of being here is, I had one class that started off with about 25 kids in the class in August, and at the end of the year, we only had 2 kids that were remaining in that class that were the same, and 23 were brand new. And I was teaching PE at the time. I kind of felt for the classroom teacher who had to constantly going through all their cume folders and going through all their data to get all that in. But right now, I will have students coming in halfway through the 9 weeks, halfway through the semester, brand new students coming in, they're leaving all the time, and trying to track down their data from other states can actually be quite a task and at hand, because a lot of times you'll just have a student come in one day, the parents will come in that morning and say, by the way, we're moving to Alabama or Washington and we need our records now, and that takes at least 2 to 5 days, they say, to be able to get that stuff in. And there's sometimes we have students that come in and their records are months behind. So just trying to keep an accurate tally of where students have been and trying to keep everything going from state to state and with the military, it can be very difficult.
I can understand that. That's all I have, Mark.
All right.
Sorry, guys, I apologize for joining late. I'm having some internet issues out here living in a small town. So, Mark, it sounds like your school, you have a high population of military students. Is that what I'm hearing?
Yeah, we're a Title I school. We have about 80% of our students are on free and reduced lunch, and our school is kind of known as one of the discipline problems within the school district. And our principal, she started up, she was at the middle school on post, and she took that school from being one of the lowest academic schools within the state to actually winning national honors 5 years later after she was there. And then there was a lot of turnover. One year we called it the principal shuffle, where we had 7 different principals being shuffled around, and she was put into this school, and this is her 2nd year there, and her ultimate job is to turn the school around and get the academics back on track.
All right. Yeah, I don't think I have any other questions right now.
Okay.
All right. My name is Erica Gibson. I work in a small town in Strasburg, Colorado, a rural city east of Denver. Work in an elementary school. When thinking about data, honestly, I feel like in rural schools, we're pretty antiquated with how we use data. We currently just use these spreadsheets that are not very helpful at all. A lot of the teachers feel like we just collect data and send it off and don't really use it to drive our instruction at our school. It's more just like one of those processes that we just feel like we have to do. We send it on, it's presented to our school board, and that's kind of all we see with it. So kind of looking at how we would use data to close the gaps. PLCs aren't really enforced at my school, which I think is kind of a disservice to our students, especially coming from a larger district where we had to do PLCs every week. Out here, we do meet once a month in our grade level teams with our data team, and we call it game changers. But honestly, it's not a very effective process at our school. It's kind of like we're bringing up our concerns to we kind of call them like the gatekeepers, where we're asking for help and they kind of determine if they want to help. We get a lot of pushback, and I do feel like sometimes our teachers might fudge the data to try and get help for our students. So looking through it like that, I have actually met multiple times with my administrator, my principal and assistant principal to kind of discuss my concerns. I teach 5th grade right now, and it's a kind of big concern for us because that's the end of elementary, and then we push them to the middle school. And if they don't have the services they need, that gap's never going to get closed. So we are trying to implement new programs next year and go back to more of a PLC model instead of this Game Changers one, to help close that achievement gap with our students and really identify what kind of trends are there that are causing these gaps. We have a pretty stable student population. Our demographics are not very diverse. We don't have a lot of students moving in and out. So I think we have some really strong opportunities to look at our students and really meet their needs. We're just not doing an effective job. Next year, we're going to get finally a data warehouse system called Alpine, where we can put our data in there and I think use it in a more beneficial way and kind of disaggregate the data to look for those trends and really see where our students at. We currently do have Title I services since we are a Title I school, but it can be hard to get those students staffed in for those services. So when we even look at like our state assessment data, we can see that our students who are socioeconomically disadvantaged really struggle at our school, but we don't have a strong plan currently on how to address their needs, even with our title program. So I think some of the desired outcomes for our school would to actually be use data in a meaningful way, to not have kind of that gatekeeper feeling where it's more just a process for us as teachers to get things done, but actually using the data and finding those interventions that maybe are a little more meaningful to our students to help close that gap for them. So do you guys have any questions?
You mentioned you came from maybe a larger school. And you've noticed some gaps at the smaller school that you're at now. How have those experiences, I guess, been beneficial, or what, I guess, obviously you've got a couple different size of schools to deal with. What are some things maybe that you liked about the smaller school too? I guess, I don't know if that makes sense.
Yeah, it was a big change to go from the larger school. I worked in Aurora, which is a huge suburb of Denver, really large, diverse school, and we had a lot of tools and supports there to help us with our students. And coming to more of a rural location, it almost kind of felt like stepping backwards in educational time. So I like being in a small school in a small community because I do think there is that kind of close-knit feeling. In the bigger schools, we did have a much more transient population. So I think I can take some of my knowledge from working at the big school district in Aurora and kind of help our school out here catch up. Like I said, I do feel like we're a bit behind the times, but we have that really strong support network. It's just not being utilized efficiently.
How do you guys go about looking at data? As a school, do you guys have in-service days where you guys are analyzing data?
Unfortunately, no. I would say on our in-service days, really the only time we talk about data is we are high achieving on our state summative assessment, which is called CMAS here in Colorado. And so we'll kind of do a quick celebration. And we have looked at We're high achieving, but our lowest would be in English language arts and writing. So this year would be the big year that maybe we started talking about data, but more in the context of looking for a new curriculum for writing and reading, because we currently don't have one. So that's a bit of a change. But overall, it really is those game changer meetings that we have about once a month to look at individual student data.
Does your district have anything implemented as far as aligning in the future about aligning curriculums or anything going on in the future?
So I would say 2 years ago, we're a small district. We only are the elementary, middle, and high school. And so 2 years ago, we did meet and do like a vertical alignment K-12 to begin the process. So we did use an in-service day for that. Not using data to help us, though. It was more looking at the standards and how we can align them. But then that kind of fell to the back burner. So since that one in-service meeting 2 years ago, we haven't really heard anything else. And even within the elementary school, one thing I find frustrating is we do a lot of horizontal alignment within our grade levels, but there really isn't any of that vertical articulation to see if there's any gaps that maybe we're not addressing, especially I'm thinking in our ELA curriculum, which we don't have. So what gaps do our students have there, or kind of what are we repeating? And I've kind of seen that where it's, third grade does, the same lesson for writing that fourth grade does. So it's the students are just getting this repetition, and there's some big gaps when they come up to me in fifth grade because we aren't vertically aligned.
Is there any support as far as district level administration that kind of is helping or attempting to align curriculum and help you guys? Or is it so small of a school, there's one person trying to put out all the fires and all the
Yeah, no, I'd say we're more the latter of that because we are such a small school district. Our superintendent, she's located right in the high school, but there really isn't anything. So, for example, we're looking at that new curriculum that we're hoping will help the elementary school get more aligned, but our superintendent just kind of leaves it to our principal to pick that curriculum, and then our superintendent will just present it to the school board. And it almost seems a little haphazard for students where we're just kind of hoping things will get into place without that actual collaboration.
I say it's not just you guys. We're horizontally aligned, but vertically aligned. I just talked to our curriculum person. Nowhere within our district we're vertically aligned, so they're working on it.
Yeah. I say that was going to be the kind of help I was going to ask you guys for if you had any suggestions for vertical alignment, particularly I'm thinking like K-12. When I worked in Aurora, we did do vertical alignment within our elementary school, but being a fifth grade teacher, it always stopped at fifth grade, and I would really like it to progress, even for me, just that fifth to sixth grade alignment. So I didn't know if you guys have any suggestions for help on that.
So the only thing our school district is doing this next year is they invested a lot of money into new screeners for students to take instead of just doing their iReady and everything. It's supposed to give them immediate results and be able to place them a lot easier K through 12. So when they go from fifth grade to sixth grade to the middle school into the high school, it's supposed to have start on the vertical alignment, but that's more of a high admin call. Our district's been working on it for years, and next year is going to be the first year implementing it. So we're kind of playing catch up in that area as well.
We've tried vertical alignment in our math as kind of the starting point. I guess not being a math teacher, I don't have a lot of insight to offer on how that process went or is going. But we've gone to PLCs on an every other day basis in our core subject areas, and I think that's is a hope of at least the high school level aligning more curriculum, and then being able to start working backwards down to the middle and elementary schools. But in my particular department, I wouldn't have much insight for you there.
All right. So I'm trying to think, kind of like I said, I think that's one of our biggest hindrances is that vertical alignment. So I'm thinking one of you guys had mentioned like kind of working backwards. So kind of starting, well, you said like within the math department and starting small. And it's kind of giving me an idea. So as a fifth grade teacher, we plan every week horizontally. So we also have that strong horizontal alignment. But I'm wondering if I could maybe even meet then like with the fourth grade team. So maybe start small is kind of what it sounded like to me, and maybe just even pick one thing. I think we have a pretty strong math curriculum that we adopted 3 years ago. That does a pretty good job because it spirals. So I think that one's a little easier to stay vertically aligned, but maybe reaching out to my fourth grade team and seeing if like we can do like a plan period once a week and just focus on one content area to see if we can start to vertically align there and kind of look through the standards and see what are they teaching and build upon that so we know our students' background knowledge, because I think that's a huge place where we're seeing the gaps is we don't have a strong collaborative system at our school. And we get the fourth grade teachers end of the year data, but then we always have summer slide or new students, and we kind of just start our own process. And I think we're creating gaps because we're not truly looking at what did our students already learn. We're just kind of starting over fresh. So I think maybe in addition to implementing stronger PLCs in my school district, actually taking the prerogative to go down and meet with the fourth grade teachers and teams to start there, and then maybe eventually work my way to going over to the middle school. That one's a little harder since it's a completely different school, but reaching out to them to kind of make sure we're vertically aligned, at least one grade level below and above, and maybe kind of promoting other like two grade level teams, if that makes sense. So maybe like kinder and first do it, second and third, fourth and fifth, until we can kind of create that continuum K-12. So I think that's all I have, honestly. So thank you guys.